The WCMA, the Window Covering Manufacturing Association, requires any product built in the United States or Canada with a cord loop should have a partially disabling device. So here's our Hunter Douglas silhouette shade with its partially disabling device. I go ahead and try to lower the shade, and this device comes up and stops the shade, partially disabling it. If this is mounted correctly, I'm pulling this device here down, and the cord flows through the device very easily. It's imperative that these devices are mounted properly in the window opening. So now let's take a look at what's inside the kit. We've got this instruction here on how to mount the cord tensioners. There's 3 ways of mounting it, and all 3 ways are provided for inside the kit. Here's the inside-outside method. Here's the outside mount method. So both of these come in basically one part, so I never get the wrong one. A couple screws for mounting that guy, a couple plugs for drywall surfaces, and a screw to mount the device into the mechanism here. Now we're going to go ahead and mount our universal cord tensioner inside mount. Now for this application, we're not going to use any of the hardware provided. We're just going to use a screw through this feature here. And if I look at the tensioning device itself, it has a line, and that's the suggested location for this device to have that screw right. And that way when I'm operating the shade, the spring inside there acts as kind of a shock absorber. So I pull this guy down, I can now move this device with the cord very easily. I want to take it to its longest point on the window here. I'm going to take my pencil and stick it through at that point and make a little pencil mark on the wall surface. I'm now going to take a 7/64 inch or 1/8 inch drill bit here. I'm going to run a pilot hole through the side. And the reason I use a pilot hole is I want to get it in a pretty precise location. And the other thing that can happen on drywall surfaces and things like that at the corner here, they have corner bead or flashing, whatever you call it in your area, that can buckle, or mahogany and oak and stuff like that. I could split the mahogany and oak if it's a really dry area. So that's some of the reasons to use a pilot hole. Going to run my screw here through the hole feature, get it started through there like that, put it right at the hole, pilot hole I've drilled. Now I've properly mounted my universal cord tensioner from Hunter Douglas. So now we're going to take a look at using the inside mount adapter that comes with the hardware. We're going to go ahead and break our inside mount adapter off here. And what it does is it moves this tensioning device into the room. And that's for a situation, not so much with a silhouette shade, but if I mount this to the interior inside mount, maybe a Duette shade, this would impede the path of the shading. So now I've got this device, I'm going to go ahead and attach it onto the hole here that I drive down in my universal cord tensioner here. I'm going to just go ahead and take this guy, drive it into place. Watch this little screw, that's one that likes to go down the heater vent or under the fridge. I'm going to just hand turn this guy in. So now this center feature here is attached to my universal cord tensioner here. And all I'm going to do is take this and put it over here in the window with my tensioner feature in the right location. The reason this isn't directly in the center is a lot of times cords will stretch over time, and this spring inside here is there to accommodate some of that stretch. So that's why that line is off center a little bit. Going to hold that at the line, take it over here, put it up against the window, and mark the locations for my 2 screw points. Once I get a pencil mark there, I'm going to go ahead and take this guy, put him out of the way for a second. Take my drill here, and we're always drilling pilot holes in this stuff I do for Hunter Douglas. I always drill pilot holes because what happens right at the corner edge of a window, especially in a drywall wrapped window, there's that flashing or quarter bead metal stuff under the surface of the drywall. If I run a screw into that and it hits a nail or something, that drywall flashing or quarter bead can buckle and run right up the screw. So I don't want that to happen. So I've got my tensioner here now. I'm bringing it into place. Lines up perfectly there. Go ahead and get the other screw on there. Get my screw started. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Looks like my cord tensioner got the right amount of spring force here. Now I'm going to bring in the drill bit. run these guys right on into place. And now I've properly tensioned up my inside mount cord tensioner. It protrudes into the room a little bit, makes it easier for me to grab the cord, doesn't impede the path of the shade in any way. So now I'm going to take a look at an outside mount easy rise shade. This happens to be the Silhouette shade still, and I've got my universal cord tensioner mounting kit here. I'm going to go ahead and snap off the outside mount bracket. Same as before, I'm taking the little screw guy and putting it into the hole that pulls the retractor away from the tensioner here. So this guy here, going to just pop in that screw there. I'm going to reach across, get my screwdriver here, run that screw into that guy, and basically it's kind of the same maneuver I did on the inside mount. I'm going to pull this feature down to where it lines up. I'm going to have a little difficulty getting to it, but I'm going to go ahead and mark the bottom hole here. I'm going to come up underneath it, mark that bottom hole. And this is when I got to be kind of concerned. I don't want it all kinds of this or all kinds of that. I want it kind of in a nice straight line on my opening here. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it, and I'm going to drill a pilot hole at that location. Drill my pilot hole. So my next step is to go ahead and remove the device from the cord tensioner so that I can get the second hole mounted into place. So I want to go ahead and pull this guy out. And I want to do this for each shade individually. I can't just measure 36 inches down for a 36-inch loop because the loops have variation in them. Some are 36 1/8, some are 35 7/8. So that's why I'm doing it this way for this particular device here. I've got my bottom hole there marked for me. Going to bring this in, line it up with the hole here. Going to make my second mark there, drill at that location. So now I'm going to install the tensioner bracket to the wall surface here, and I'm just going to get my screws started a little bit here. And the reason I can't just tension this thing up to the tensioner is the tensioner ends up in front of the brackets. So now I'm going to take my drill here and run the top screw in. Run the bottom screw in. And now I'm going to take my little screw here in through the tensioner and run it to this feature of the tensioner bracket here. Got that little guy there. This part gets tricky because I'm pushing in on the screw, pulling it down, mounting it into the tensioner bracket. And now I've correctly installed my outside mount shade with a universal cord tensioner from Hunter Douglas.